Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to make this high-low halter neck dress. As you can see, it has a low back, it's flared and also has pockets. It's very beginner friendly, so if you're interested in this, make sure to watch until the end. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in such content. Alright, let's get right into the video. So for this outfit, we're going to be using about 3 yards of fabric. So we're going to start by drafting the front, and I'm going to be getting this piece and folding it like this. When we check the measurement for the piece, it's 45 inches long. Next thing is at the top, we're going to get half of our shoulder measurements, which is 8 inches in this case. And then I'll just place it there and mark the points. And just make sure that these 2 points are equal from that point to that point, and also from that point to that point. Once you've confirmed that, we can then draw a line. So the next thing is we're going to make sure that this part is unfolded, and then we shall mark out our neckline. Our neckline is 3 inches at the bottom, and then on the side it's 2.5 inches. So we shall just go ahead and carve out the neckline. You can always use a curve ruler. So like I told you earlier, that part should be half of our shoulder measurements, and then at the end there we shall come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. And then we shall join that point to the neckline. From this point, we're going to go down by our armhole depth, which is 7.5 inches. The formula is on the screen. To get our armhole line, we're going to get that half shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, and also bring it down. Then we shall go ahead and mark that position. Then we shall be joining those 2 points. We shall then confirm our armhole depth, which is 7.5 inches, and also mark it there. We shall then go ahead and join the points just like you see in the video. I really hope you've understood it. It's just basically like any other bodice. Only difference is that this one is slanted. So the next thing is that on that armhole line, which is acting as our bust line, we're going to measure a quarter of our bust measurements, which is 9 inches in my case. Then we shall go ahead and get the center of that line, and that's how we're going to do it. Then we shall go ahead and mark it, and then we shall go in by half of an inch, just like you see me doing the video, and I'll just join those points just like you see me doing the video. Then from that bust point, we're going to add 1 inch of sewing allowance. The next thing is I'm going to go down by 0.5 inches on the neckline. Then I'm going to join that point to this first mark like you see in the video. By the way, you don't necessarily have to go down by 0.5 inches. You can just join that line to the original neckline. So basically that's going to be our halter neckline. So now we're going to add 0.5 inches above that line, just like you see me doing the video. That's for the sewing allowance. Also, if you want a lower halter neckline, adding this allowance is optional, especially because we're going to be using the binding method. So now we're going to move on to getting our full length, which we're going to measure from the shoulder to the bottom, which is going to be 34.5 inches for me. So I'll just go ahead and mark it all the way around, just like you see me doing the video. And so after we're done with that part, the next thing is we're going to now be creating our side line. And so we shall be joining that point up to the bottom. And at this point, you can decide how wide you want your flare to be. If you want less of a flare, you can reduce it like this instead. Generally, you can adjust it to your preference. So we're going to move on to the cutting process. We shall be cutting our halter neckline from that point. And so that's how we're going to go about it, just like you see in the video. And so that's what the front is going to look like. Next thing is you're going to get a piece similar to the front, and then we shall be cutting out the back. So as you can see, we got a piece similar to the front, we put it on fold. Then we shall get the front piece and place it on top of the fabric, just like you see me doing the video. Make sure that the parts that are on fold are at the same position. So the next thing we're going to do is we shall be transferring that chest line onto the back piece, just like you see me doing the video. So I'll just extend the line, then I'll take off the front piece and then transfer the line just like that. Also, another thing is for the back, we're going to be making use of this extra space, which is 4 inches. We shall be joining that point to the hem. The reason we're adding that allowance on the side is for the elastic at the back. So you can use that very line if you don't want your back to be very exposed. But then for me, I'm going to be going down by 1 inch. And then I'll be drawing a slight curve and I'll join it to that main line, just like you see in the video. And so after we're done with that, using that new line, we're going to be adding 1.5 inches above that new line. And then that 1.5 inches is basically for the elastic band casing. So we shall go ahead and join the points just like you see in the video. So we're basically done with the top part. At the bottom of the hem, remember we're doing a high-low dress. Instead of tracing out the front hem, we're instead going to go 7 inches below the front hem, just like you see me doing in the video. And then we're going to be joining it to the other side of the hem. Also, don't forget that this part is on fold. So we're going to go ahead and do the cutting just like you see in the video. Like I told you, that part is going to be added because we moved out by 4 inches to create room for the elastic. So we shall just cut that part out and that will be it for the back. So that's basically it, guys. That's going to be the front piece, and then the one at the bottom is going to be the back piece. The next pieces we're going to be cutting out are the pockets and the straps. For the pockets, mine is 7 inches wide at that point, and then we just use the hand to determine the rest. I've showed you multiple videos of how I do it. So we have 4 different pieces, 2 that are right sides facing each other, and then the other right sides facing each other. And then the next are the straps, where I cut 2 pieces like this. Each of the pieces are 2.5 inches wide. If you want to create strings to just tie around your neck, you can make it about 46 or 45 inches long. But if you want to just connect it straight to the back like straps, then you can make them shorter. So now we're going to start the sewing process. We're going to get our back piece, and then we're going to mark our 1.5 inches for the elastic band all around, just like that. And then we're going to be folding it first by 0.5 and then by the rest. And then we shall be sewing it all the way from one side to the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. As you can see in this clip, I've already finished doing that and the elastic band casing has been created. So I got an elastic band that's about 14 inches long and then it's 0.5 inches wide. And I got my safety pins and attached them to both sides of the elastic. The next thing is we shall be inserting the elastic band into that elastic band casing from one side all the way to the other side. As you can see, I've already finished doing that. I'll be cutting out that extra elastic band and then I'm going to just go ahead and pin it down on both sides. And I'm going to just go and sew it to attach the pieces. Okay, at this point, I've already finished doing that. We shall move on to the front piece. We shall just pick up our straps. And then right side of the strap facing the wrong side of the fabric, we're going to just attach them like that. And then we shall just pin them down till we're almost at the center. I'm just going to go ahead and mark the center. So we shall be leaving about 1/4 of an inch on both sides of the center. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it, 1/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch on both sides. So we shall be attaching that piece till we reach like that 1/4 mark. Then we shall stop there. We shall then move on to the opposite side and then we shall repeat the same process. Right side of the strap facing the wrong side of the main fabric. We shall attach it just like that all the way to that point of the 1/4 inch mark. So we're going to go and stitch both of them by 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. So at this point, I've already finished doing that. I've stitched it on both sides. So I'm going to turn the main piece to the right side, just like you see in the video. And so on this very stitch line on the 0.5 inch mark, we're going to just continue it like that. And then we're going to notch it at the center by 0.5 inches. I really hope you understand what I mean. This is a close-up of what it looks like. It's just stopping at the 0.5 inch mark. The next thing is we're going to use the binding method to just cover the stitch line just like that. And then we shall stitch it down all the way. So when you reach the center where the notch is, you'll just push away the second strap and then you'll just continue stitching all the way just like that. I hope that makes sense. At this point, I've already finished doing that. The next thing is we're going to move on to the next strap where we're going to repeat the same process. But in this case, we're just going to be top stitching it all the way from one side to the other end. At this point, I've already finished doing that, but as you can see, that part was open, so we shall just close it off. I've just gone ahead to pin it down, so I'll just be stitching it there. So the next thing we're going to do is working on the pockets. But in case you don't want to add pockets to your outfit, at this point, you'll just be getting the pieces right sides facing each other and sewing them on the sides. But since we're going to be adding pockets, from that point, we're going to mark 8 inches, just like you see in the video, and we shall do that on the other side as well, just like you see me do. So we're going to get 2 of the pocket pieces, and then right sides facing each other, we're going to just place the piece exactly like that. Make sure that it's facing downwards. So I'll just pin it in place on both sides, just like you see me do in the video. By the way, before you do this, you have to make sure to overlock the raw edges of the pockets. As you can see, I've already finished doing that. We shall then be sewing them down by 1 inch of sewing allowance. And so we shall be repeating the same process on the back, right sides facing each other, and then join them by 1 inch. As you can see, at this point I've already finished doing that, and then I also ironed them out like that. Now we're going to get the back piece, right sides facing each other. We shall place them like that. And also, just a reminder, I finished overlocking the raw edges before this stage. So yes, we shall just align the pieces just like you see in the video. So as you can see, I've already pinned them down, so I'm going to sew in there by 1 inch. When I reach that point, which is 0.5 inches from the pocket, we shall then go and sew 0.5 all around, reach that point, come in by 1 inch, and then go up to down. I really hope that makes sense. Then we shall repeat the same process on the other side. As you can see, I've already finished doing that. So now I'm going to trim off that excess at the bottom. So you'll just follow what I'm doing in the video. And so after we're done with that, we're then going to just hem the bottom. We shall fold it in twice and then just hem it all around. As you can see, I've already finished doing that. You can also see the high-low effect at the back. So at this point, if you just want to tie the string around your neck, you're basically done. But if you want it to be attached to your back, you just go ahead and place the pieces in position depending on how you want the fitting to be. Mine was 6.5 inches from the side to that point on both sides. And then you'll just go ahead and place the pieces in position and then stitch them down. In my case, the length of this extra part was 15 inches from there to the top. And then of course it will become about 16.5 if you're cutting the strap, because you'll be adding sewing allowance as well. But you can determine the length of the strap using your own body, because it might differ from mine. So this is what it's looking like. I've just attached it at the bottom there. And like I told you, from that point all the way to the top there is 15 inches. And I'll just go ahead and show it to you. As you can see, so at the top it's 15 inches. You can also go ahead and top stitch it at the top to keep it in place. Then from the side seam to that point is 6.5 inches. And guys, we're basically done with that. The next thing is we're going to just work on our belt. So this piece is 1.5 inches on fold and 3 inches when it's open. And then the length is about 63 inches. So I just went ahead and sewed it on the wrong side and then turned it to the right side. And that's basically it, guys. I didn't go into detail for that one. So yes, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the video was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel in case you're interested in such content. Alright guys, see you in the next video.